Hey, just a shorter video here. Thought I'd take a mini kind of gap between reviewing games and kind of. I'm struck that a lot of the older games, a lot of stuff is using six-sided dice, of course. I'm talking about, 70s, 80s games. And I've reviewed almost all these. But, even though they're all six-sided, there's some variations between them, and I just thought it'd be fun to take a break and kind of look at them. So I have some from Merchant of Venus, from Avalon Hill, SPI's box version of Rescue from the Hive. So, metagaming, they have a lot of microgames, but in their boxed microgames or in this metagame which they make, they have these dice. And some other dice from an SPI version. They have these smaller dice also. TSR game, Revolt of Antares. Got some dice here. Six-sided. Yaquinto, most of their dice are these heavier, larger dice, which I really like. But I did find some smaller dice of a similar style, which actually, in one of the games, Yaquinto's Adventure, I found these. It's interesting they're similar also to the ones I got from SPI's Rescue from the Hive. And no review of old sci-fi games is complete without looking at GDW, so got the box game Invasion Earth there, some GDW dice. Let's kind of compare them side by side and see how they look and how they, feel. And this isn't meant to be technical, it's more just based on feel. I mean, I could compare the different dice by rolling them and seeing, how repeatable they are, and then do like some statistics like a t-test or something to compare how repeatable they are. And I could weigh them and all that, but that wouldn't be as fun. So I'll just kind of generally look at them and see what my perception is. So here's the TSR dice. They're a ½ inch. The Yaquinto dice look to be, slightly under, 5/8 of an inch. Smaller Yaquinto dice. These look to be about, so the smaller Yaquinto looks to be about 7/16, and same with the GDW, looks to be about 7/16. Same with Avalon Hill. Our SPI dice, about 7/16. Then we get into here's the metagaming dice. Looks to be about 5/16. Similar with the smaller SPI dice. Of course, the TSR are unique. So the earlier ones you had to have and these are similar to like the earlier D&D dice too. You could get a crayon and color in there. The other dice are, dots. I'm not sure the material of the TSR. It's a very light material. And I actually wonder, how repeatable it is, or the randomness of it. Because if it's a lighter dice, and you toss it, I wonder how you'd think it might be less likely to spin as it lands if it's lighter. And these are pretty light. Different material. Yaquinto are nice and heavy. That's what I always like about the Yaquinto, how heavy they are. They're probably my favorite dice because they're big and heavy and pretty sharp edges. Smart Yaquinto, much lighter. Their GW are similar. They seem to be a slightly different material too than the Yaquinto. A little bit lighter in my opinion. Avalon Hill dice seem to be nice and heavy. I like the unique color of them. Pretty sharp edges. And these larger SPI dice are really similar to the smaller Yaquinto ones, and again, work fine. And this little metagaming dice is just very, very light. And by necessity, because it's got to fit in the little boxes. I do question how random that would be. It's just very light. And these small SPI seem to be a similar material to the little metagaming one. Again, very light. So it's not a super scientific look at it on purpose. It's more just kind of, my feel. So just for fun to kind of rate these, maybe put them in order of my preference, I guess maybe is a good way to do it. As far as how enjoyable they are, I would say these large Yaquinto are at the top. The Avalon Hill would be next. And then really I would say the smaller Yaquinto, and then the SPI, the regular size SPI dice, they seem to be pretty much the same, so that they would be next. Ranking below that, I'd say the GDW. They seem to be of a slightly different material and kind of lighter than the SPI dice. Smaller SPI, and the metagaming, I'd say would be tied for 6th there. And the last, I'd say the TSR, just because their material is just too light in my opinion. Just some brief musings there on dice, if that's a value added.